It can be very easy to get caught in a volume trap, especially with calisthenics, but it also happens with things like cardio and stuff. And it starts out innocently enough where you're like, all right, I'm gonna get me in shape. And you start doing some push-ups like every night before bed or something, and you get some positive feedback. And you're like, okay, feeling good, looking better and stuff. And what do I do to keep progressing? You add on to what you're doing. So you do more reps, more sets, more workouts per week, and you get more positive feedback. And you're like, great, I'm on my way. Here we go. We just keep adding more. But it's kind of like a rubber band where you're just constantly stretching it out. And at first it's like, this is easy. I can keep going. But eventually you get to that point, you're like, I can't stretch it anymore, because ultimately hard work is not something you can infinitely scale. And at that point, you're in the trap, because you either stay working and pushing your mind, body, and lifestyle to its very limit all the time in order to just maintain the meager gains you've accomplished, or you slack off in order to relieve that pressure, but now you're going to lose some of that progress. And this is why the volume rut can often feel like you're stuck in a dead-end job with your fitness training. You're either going to have to bust your butt as hard as you can and never get anywhere, which is very, well, let's face it, demoralizing and frustrating, or you're gonna go backwards. And the solution is to look at the other half of the fundamental variables, where you've got volume, but you also have intensity, because those two are always kind of on a teeter-totter from one another. The more you have of one, the less you have of the other. So when you add intensity to your training, the less volume you need to create an adequate stimulus to build muscle and strength. And that's why a lot of people get caught in a volume trap with things like calisthenics, is a lack of knowledge or ability to add that intensity. So adding volume is seemingly the only option you've got. But as I explained in my previous video that I made, which you could check out up there are lots of ways you can add intensity to calisthenics. But there's one other type of trap that's so easy to get caught into, which is that of, well, what's more important, volume or intensity? Which one should you emphasize? And if you go down enough YouTube and internet rabbit holes, you'll find lots of advocates for volume. You come up with Herschel Walker's like thousands of repetitions every day, and this research report says volume's the most important. So people are like, volume, volume, volume. But then again, you also have those who are like, no, intensity is the most important. And like Arthur Jones' approaches and Dorian Yates's are like one or two real hard eyeballs bleeding intensity is what's really the driver for strength and muscle. And you get caught between these two. You're not going to be best off chasing after lots of volume or lots of intensity, but using a mix of the two, where you have different points in your program where you go more on the intensity side, and then you have other times when you go a little bit more on the volume side. And you can do this any way you like. It doesn't really matter too much. You could do it in the same workout, like with my grind style workout program, where we have a bit of both. Or you can switch between the two in different workouts, different week, different month, however you do it. But going from one side to the next and having a bit of a pendulum swing is probably going to keep you from getting stuck in either of the traps and prevent you from having that feeling of, I'm stuck, now I've got to push myself to the limit to keep what I've got instead of falling backwards. So check out the more resources. There's that one that I just mentioned up there about the 9 different ways that you can progress basic calisthenics training for adding intensity. And of course, check out month 1 of my free grind style calisthenics workout program in ways to add both intensity and a bit of volume in the same workout to get the best of both worlds. Thoughts and questions down below. Thank you very much for watching. Be fit and live free.